Okay, so today we're back on the Moto Guzzi. It's been a long time coming, and this isn't the job I was planning to do today. It was going to be on the Moto Guzzi, just not this, but I was getting a bit stressed out with things and I thought I need to do something that's going to relax me, and so yeah, we started measuring. And it's all good fun. I've found the best con rods we've got. That's the best crankshaft we've got, and various gauges and bits out, and it does look like we've got the right combination. We've got a Type B crank, is it? Yes it is. Sorry, we've got a Type B crankshaft, Type A rods. They do A and B in both. Essentially the fatter crank wants to go with the rods with the bigger holes in and vice versa. The measuring's proving fun. This book's an imperial, this one's in metric and imperial. This gauge and this one are metric, that's imperial. So as a result, we've got the machinery's handbook out to help with the conversions, calculator, and lots of scribblings and crossing this out, but we're getting somewhere. Now, I say these rods aren't perfect. I mean, the crank, oh, not even in shot there, I'll try again here. The crank is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, that crank. This one came out the donor bike, and these are the rods out the original one, because although this crank was brilliant, the rods weren't. Behind where the shells sit, it had started to corrode and had pushed the shells into the crank. Quite how it had taken it out around and marked it, I don't know, but it hasn't, so we've just got to, yeah, we'll not worry about that. So anyway, the types of the crank and rods of these are denoted by colour. A little bit of white paint there, and you probably won't be able to see it very well, but there's a hint of the blue paint left on those, which means they are A rods and a B crank. Now, these rods aren't perfect. There is a tiny little bit of metal fatigue, a bit of corrosion maybe. Yeah, corrosion, not metal fatigue, sorry. Showing in there, and they aren't quite round. They're both about a thou out of round, they are. But on measuring them, because we are, what did I say, we're class A rods, so if we can see that, we're allowed 47.136 millimeters. Well, maximum, sorry, yeah, 47.13 to 47.136, and these are measuring slightly below. So we should be able to just clean these up with a hone and get them somewhere near. I'm hoping anyway. Now the little ends, these are definitely oval. So the next job will be to take these bushes out, that one's the same, and just make sure that the ends of the rods are round. But if we take our little telescoping bore gauge and we pop it in that way round, which is a nice fit, she'll just rock over centre, and it's lovely. If we pop it this way round, then I will get this on the camera, but she won't go up to centre. That's it, solid. So these have elongated a bit. It's in the correct direction for how they should wear. It's sort of bigger top to bottom than it is side to side, so with any luck that will just be a bit of wear on there, I hope. So yeah, next job would be sorry, let's try that again. Next job will be to push these bushes out and measure the rod itself. We'll do it on both of them and see where we stand. If they're still round and within tolerance, I'll see about sending these off and getting them honed and just cleaned up, and hopefully they'll be within spec still when they're cleaned up. If not, they'll have to go in the bin and we'll have to find some more. Fingers crossed, eh? Right, I'll get these bushes out and I'll bring you back. Well, those bushes just about fell out on their own. They didn't exactly take much pressing, which is kind of worrying, but we've just mic'd them up and the bushes are below tolerance on the ODs, which is good. Now the little ends, just like the big ends, are very slightly out of round, but I think they're well within spec, so there should be enough meat on them to take them out and get them cleaned up, hopefully. So it is going to be worth, I think, sending them rods off. Get that done some point next week. Get the see if they can just make them true again, make them round again, and keep them within spec, because that'll save hunting out another set of rods and then going through the whole process again. But yeah, they were blooming loose. I think if I get that right, I might even be able to just push that back in by hand, which you really shouldn't be able to do. That's not going to do it, is it? Let's get it the same way as it was. I think. There we go. Yeah, that's how loose they were. Definitely shouldn't be like that, should they? But not to worry. We'll see if we can get it sorted and have some new ones in. Yes. Rightio. So we might be able to do something with both the little and big ends, but I've just measured the width of the rods and they are too thin. Now it's more visible on this one, so we'll sit down with it. Now if I measure here or here on the areas that don't wear, and you can see they don't have anything wearing on them, they are well within spec because, well, they've not worn. But you measure the width of the rod across this face to the opposite side and she is below spec. Now you can probably see the wear marks on her, so I think these rods are just about done, and the little ends are about the same. The width of them varies as you measure around in different places, but the fattest part's on minimum spec and the rest of it is a fair chunk below. So yeah, unfortunately I think those rods are spent, so we might have to go looking for a set of rods type A. Oh well. Yes, well, I think that'll bring this video to an end. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. I was hoping we'd get somewhere with this, because I was intending to carry on and do a bit more. Maybe start getting the rest of the engine ready to go back together. But not to worry. Not to worry, we shall search for some rods and see what we can find. And yeah, for those of you that have been following, the lathe, she will not come true. She's just too worn. The two extremities of the travel are in line with each other, but there's a lot of slop in the middle and I can't get rid of it. I mean, if I shim it, it's great in the middle, but then of course you can't move it to the extremities at either end, so yeah, she's still good for knocking up things like spacers and whatnot, but if you want to work down in thousandths of an inch, she's just no good. So she might be getting replaced with another one at some point. And if we get another lathe, we'll get a bigger lathe. If we get a bigger lathe, we need a bigger shed, and if we're making a bigger shed, we need some concrete to put it on. So, oh yeah, and we've got a big shed with a big roof, might as well put some solar panels on it, haven't we? Let's see what happens. Right, well, those of you that are still here, thank you for watching, and yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Right, I'll go look for some conrods. See you later, ta-da.